making sure we have a nice, clean environment out here in Baton Rouge. I'm so glad my taxes are...
Guy, you're complaining about that shit in a red state, while at the same time complaining how bad it is in blue states when you haven't even lived in a fucking blue state.
First of all, how do you know where I have and have not lived? I may not live in a blue state, but I have family who do. I got relatives in St. Louis Obispo, California I've visited every now and then. Y'all really aren't much better. More importantly, Baton Rouge itself is a blue city, much like New Orleans. These cities have been run by Democrats as long as I've been alive. And the state has no responsibility to manage the police department in Baton Rouge. That responsibility falls onto the city, not the state. And this is why socialists have absolutely no right calling libertarians Republican-like, because reality is, y'all are just diet Democrats. Y'all may not be registered as Democrats, but you sure as hell defend them and act like being anti-Republican is a flex. Republicans are red, Democrats are blue, neither party cares about me or you. What do I expect from the people who think being anti-racist is a flex? You're supposed to be! What, you want, a cookie?
So, letting corporations pollute the air, displace people, or as you say, even kill entire species of animals, because they are on the way of progress, right?
Are you seriously trying to say libertarians support that stuff when communists have done stuff like this? First of all, China already pollutes more than any other nation, and they are a Marxist nation. Anybody who supports socialism or Marxism does not get to lecture anyone about environmentalism.
Now, as you mentioned, no, there was no income tax before the 1900s. Most of the tax revenue came from liquor.
Yeah, then Prohibition happened, and so they switched over to income tax. I'm well aware, and I oppose it. See, if you actually took the time to get to know people, you would understand that, one, not all libertarians are ANCAPs. I'm a minarchist. I oppose the federal government entirely. I want to localize the government. As much as I have a problem with the way my city is being run, I have a lot more control over what's going on in my own backyard than I have what's going on in Washington goddamn D.C. And this is the problem many socialists have, is that they lump anybody they disagree with into the same category. Not only do y'all assume that all libertarians are just Republican-like, but you assume all libertarians are ANCAPs, when libertarianism is a very broad spectrum of different beliefs.
You say, well, we want to ally on social issues. Yes, but there are some material issues that cannot be sacrificed.
I don't know what the heck just happened, but I'm keeping it. Let's talk about those material issues. Why do you hate private property right? What makes you think poor people cannot prosper in a free market society? Why do y'all act like wage labor is the only way to make money in a free market society? I work a wage job and I'm starting a small business. You can do both. Y'all say we hate poor people. I am poor people. And then y'all try to gaslight us by telling us we're against our own voice. No, we're against your voice. Come up with better arguments for your position. Stop trying to guilt everybody into agreeing with you.
Like healthcare, like education. We can have gay marriage, and we can have wherever else. But if people are living in misery, barely making it, because corporations have become a single entity that...
A single entity that controls everything? Yeah, that sounds like the government more than it sounds like corporations, my guy. And again with the corporation, do y'all even know what corporations are? Corporation does not describe the size of a business. It describes the business model. A corporation is merely a business that investors buy stake in the form of stocks and assume all risk and liability if it goes under or turns a profit. You and your friends can literally pull your money together and start a corporation while working a wage job. This is why socialists are the flat earthers of economics. They frequently use words that they don't even know the meaning of. You want to know why healthcare is so expensive? Look up the Certificate of Need law. And by the way, explain to me why it's legal for a pharmaceutical company to patent and copyright a life-saving medication. Maybe they wouldn't hold a monopoly on the pharmaceutical industry if they couldn't do that. That is granted because of the state. And there are nations with universal healthcare, and there are people in those nations who complain about it just as much as we complain about our healthcare system in the U.S. You think I don't talk to people outside of this country? I mean, you think I've never been to a blue state, so it would make sense. Canada is literally starting to offer people who have treatable conditions assisted instead of actual treatment because it's cheaper. Universal healthcare, in my humble opinion, is completely overrated. And most of the problems we have in the U.S. with our healthcare system has more to do with government intervention in the market. Private education's been around longer than state education and has a much more successful track record. And giving the state control of education only gave them the authority to red zone certain minority groups into lower income schools. Happens all the time in the very blue city of Baton Rouge. But there's also a lot of private charter schools that are sponsored by local historically black universities that are doing wonders for marginalized communities. What do you know? The free market wins again! We can have gay marriage? Here's a question. Why is the government in charge of telling people who can and can't get married anyway? Why does the government help people extort their exes when they get bored and leave a relationship? Maybe the government shouldn't be involved with marriage to begin with. Seriously, talk about an all-consuming entity that owns everything. That's the government, not corporations.
Government, good government, which is something we don't have.
Yes, that's the entire point of libertarianism. You're getting there. The government will never be good, so it should be limited. Talk about having a balance, but what you're advocating for isn't a balance. Government already has the authority to do everything you're speaking of, but they choose not to do it to the best of their ability because who's going to stop paying them? In the free market, if somebody else is offering something better for less, you can take your business to them instead of their competitors. The government just takes what it wants. Especially under socialism because y'all don't respect private property rights. Y'all believe in collectivization for the betterment of the community. But who gets to decide what is and isn't good for the community? Oh right, the government is sending millions of dollars to the Ukraine and Israel as we speak.
Meeting the basic needs of people. People need healthcare. People need education. People need to eat.
But this upsets you? You mad about that? You're mad because Javier Milei has allowed employers to pay their employees with milk and meat. At least he's feeding the people, unlike socialist policies that have historically led to mass starvation and man-made famine. Holodomor, Great Leap Forward, how's life in Venezuela right now? Yes, and I know that was a Babylon Bee meme. Actually, I made it. I just thought it was something the Babylon Bee would say, so I just put their logo on it. But that's literally what y'all are starting to sound like here. Y'all are mad because libertarianism is finally getting tested. And even though we don't know the results of these policies, we do know that they are being tried. And you are scared that they might actually work out. And if they work out, well, this uptick in popularity that socialism has been experiencing for the last decade and a half, it's going to come to a grinding halt. This is why y'all hate libertarians. We offer all the social progress, but we don't want to infringe on people's rights to exist peacefully so long as they don't infringe on anybody else's right to exist peacefully. The difference between libertarians and socialists is y'all look at all the bad stuff that the government has done and you think, I can fix him. We look at it and go, yeah, fuck that shit.